Jesus, we remember your kindness. Even when we forget, you remind us how you left the 99 to find us.
Hi, really great that you're with us, joining us today on Come and Keep the Conversation Light. Today we have Becksy Tufnell with us, and we're really excited about that. She's one of the youth and young adult leaders in New Life Church, Crouch Valley. And so, Becksy, it'd be really great if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Becksy. I am a youth leader at New Life Church, and I'm also a part of the worship team, and I have set up a small business called Treasure the Faith.
So, Becksy, it's just really excited to have you here. I know you're a little bit nervous, and that's okay. We're all nervous, but you're obviously, I'm not sure, how old are you?
20.
So you're 20 years old, and how long have you been coming along to church? And you know, what have been your challenges of being a young person in church today?
So I've been to church my whole life, and then I came to New Life in 2021, I think. And yeah, so I got involved. I always wanted to get involved in the youth. I mean, there's lots of challenges of being a young person. There's lots of pressures, especially with social media, because you're seeing what everyone else is doing. And then it also leads to comparison and things like that. And obviously, the way society is, you're seen as quite different if you go to church and things like that.
Yeah, so that is, in one way, that's quite good that we're seen as different, because Jesus or Paul says, be in the world but not of it. So obviously that we can't remove ourselves from the world, but we're called not to be of it. So obviously, for me, it's really important that young people like yourself feel, firstly, loved, accepted as you are. And then obviously the other thing is that you're open for people to give you feedback to help you be a stronger, more vibrant Christian, because the pull of the world is so strong, isn't it? Particularly when you're in college and university, stuff like that. So what are some of the pulls that you've had to confront, particularly since you left school and went off to university?
Yeah, I mean, you're told a lot of things in school. Like, there's just, people can say different things. So like, I've had it at school where people said to me, they were like, you're bisexual or something. And you have to be, sometimes you're basically told things, and you sometimes have to go, I don't think I am. Or you have to say, you're told how you should be, and you have to obviously look at the Bible and be like, no, that's not who God says I am, and that's not how I think I am. And you're told what you should be doing, and people make assumptions about you, so you have to really remember who you are. And it might be something like that, or it might just be someone saying like, oh, you have to come out and drink or something like that, and you have to be like, no, if I don't, it doesn't make me boring or something. It's just not it's not what I find enjoyable. It's not what I believe I should be doing. It's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah, so sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there, but we in New Life Church, don't we? We spend a lot of time talking about our identity in Christ. Yeah. And of course, our identity in Christ is so different than what the identity that the world projects. We would say, or I would say for sure, that, God created us male and female.
Yeah.
He created us in his image. Now, that's not something that sits well with 21st century Britain, where we, and particularly at college and university, where people are being open to learning ideas, thoughts, but some of the ideas that are presented as fact rather than just as an idea. And, it's really hard, isn't it? When you're in church on Sunday, you're worshipping and you're clapping and you're involved, someone's preaching and you've got lots of people around you that love the Lord. It's easy to stand as a Christian. It's when you go out into the workplace or into the educational system that you then, as a young person, get tested.
Yeah, I think that young people can often feel like there's a lot of conflicting, like, people are saying different things, and it's a bit like, what is right and what is wrong, and you kind of have to just stick, obviously, to the Bible and what that says, and you have to stand firm on that, because there is a lot of voices telling you different things.
Yeah, and I think one of the thoughts that I have on, particularly youth and young adults is what I wouldn't want to do is just bang the desk and say this is what you must believe, because that could be just as dogmatic as what the world presents. So therefore, I think giving the ability for young people to think through theological positions themselves with help, with guidance, is something that I would definitely champion. And so, we don't want to be seen like, well, this is a counterfeit and therefore this is truth and you must believe this. You have to wrestle with it yourself, using the Bible, I guess, as your backdrop. So
yeah, definitely. I think that's one reason why we try and focus on discussions as much as possible in like youth related things, like on a Sunday and in the life hubs, because we want the youth to be open. We don't want them to feel like they can't question it if they have questions. We want them to be able to go, oh, why is this wrong? If they don't understand it, we don't want them to just think, oh, I'm told that we have to wait until marriage or something, but I don't really understand why they should be able to...
What do you mean vis-a-vis sex?
Yeah, so they need to be able to ask questions about it so they can understand it for themselves, rather than, like you say, just believing it but just because that's what they're told.
Yeah, so a position for us is that, you've mentioned sex, and it always is one of those topics that we tend to try and avoid in church a little bit, but, we're not afraid of that on Comma, keep the conversation going. Sex is a good thing, but it is between a man and a woman who are married. That's the biblical standpoint. But in the world that we live in, that is not what is promoted in society. Guys, we just want to say really thank you for watching Comma, keep the conversation going. And if you like what you're hearing, please could you just press the subscribe button so that you can be a part of the journey of taking Comma, keep the conversation going out into the wider world. Yeah, so I think my experience, Becksy, and I guess for some of you watching, is that sex is always a hot potato in the church around youth and young adults, yet it is something that impacts the whole church. Just because you're between the ages of 16 and 25, you're not exclusively battling with sex. Older people battle with it as well. Yeah. So, but for us as a church, the important thing is that sex is for marriage between one man and one woman.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biblical standpoint. And I know that we talk that a lot in New Life Church, particularly in smaller conversations. And I guess that puts you under some pressure when you're at college and all your friends are saying, hey, it's okay to sleep around.
Yeah, I mean, for me, because I've been in a relationship since I was like 15, I think, and people know that, so they will kind of just assume things when they speak to me rather than asking. So I never felt pressure, because I guess if you were single when you're younger, you might feel that more pressure, like lots of friends like getting with different people and things like that. But people do just assume things about you, and sometimes you have to go, no, that's not what I believe, which can be hard to do, especially if you're at university or work and everyone's just having these open conversations. But I think it's obviously an important thing to say, because people will be like, why they might ask questions, but obviously you need to stand by what you believe in.
Yeah, I think the one of the challenges of being a young person, what I see is that people do make assumptions of you, and sometimes they even speak that assumption as if it's a fact. But actually, my view would be, if we really want to strengthen and encourage our young people and we have concerns, it's good to speak to the young person that you have concerns about to them, rather than talk about them to everybody else. And gossip is such a destructive thing, and particularly in a church environment. I would say it's one of the most damaging things that you can have is gossip. And so if I've got something I want to talk to you about, it's a direct approach from Rob. I don't talk to 1,001 others. I come and talk to you, and that's done in the context of loving you I don't, one of my favourite sayings is no is an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
But I do want to feel that part of love is that you can be challenged, and the other thing for me is that you can come and challenge me as well. Because if you don't see me living out what I say, then I need to be challenged.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I really like about you, Becksy, is that you are open to being talked to. And I know as you've developed your journey of being a youth and young adult leader, there's been some challenges along the way.
Yeah.
And also, there's been opportunity for you to grow and develop, and you're not going to get everything right. The church sometimes feels like everything's got to be perfect. Well, that's not church. Church for me is imperfect people connecting with a perfect God. So moving on, we don't want to just focus on sex, but it's a good start point. So how do you find the older people in church connect with you? Do they talk to you in church, or is that something that you find they don't do?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the older people will always like check in with the younger people. There's a lot of the older people that really have a heart for helping with the young people. I think maybe sometimes it could be done a bit more. I definitely like the idea. One thing I try to do as a youth leader is obviously I lead some of the groups, but I like to bring in some older people because it's just nice to have a different person. They also bring a lot of wisdom to discussions and different topics that we have on. So I try to do that a bit more. But I think in general, the older people are very welcoming to the young people from what I've seen. And they do like to chat with us and check with how we're going, like see, they're like, how's uni going and things like that. So it's nice to have people that will check in with you.
Yeah, so that's really great, guys. It's one of the things that Becksy pulled out there. If we want to have young people in our church, firstly, we need to recognise that there will be challenges around life choices and different things that they make. That isn't saying that we're perfect, but one of the things that I feel young people need to experience is that they feel valued and recognised when they're in church settings, and particularly on a Sunday. It's good to go up to young people and just talk to them and find out about their week, their world, and the kind of things that they're dealing with. And so, this is a keep the conversation going light. And we're just focusing a little bit on youth and young adults. And, it's really great that Bexsy's come along just to not humour me, but add to the debate. I know she's quite nervous and stuff like that, but young people have a voice, and we need to hear that voice if we really want to respond well and see a revival amongst young people right across the United Kingdom. Most churches that I go to, most churches that I visit, most church leaders that I speak to, one of the concerns is an absence of young people, particularly between the ages of 15 and 25. And I think that's something that we need to look at and need to address, and that's why it's great to have Becksy on here. I know you do other things. You go to university, don't you? So what are you studying?
Psychology. So I'm just about to go into my last year doing that.
Yeah. And that brings some challenges to you, doesn't it? With time commitment.
Yeah.
And different things. So
I commute, so that takes up a bit of time, but it means that I get to spend more time here and doing stuff in the church and working as well.
Yeah, so you've got quite a balance, haven't you? You do some stuff. You commute from home to uni in London.
Yeah.
And then you obviously, we see you around the church most weeks. And then you're also a little bit of an embryonic entrepreneur, and you've started a business.
Yeah.
Can you want to talk a little bit? What inspired you to do that? And what is the business, and where do you see it going?
Yeah. So it started off with me doing some social media stuff for the Love Essex youth. And then I kind of found a passion for graphic design. Before that, I didn't really think I was a creative person at all. I'm doing psychology. I didn't do art or anything. I just didn't think that was for me. But like I say, I found a love for it. And then I kind of thought I could set up my own like Instagram page, social media, to spread the Bible verses and stuff and little reminders to people. And when I was drawing, I kind of thought, I could make these into postcards or prints as well. So I started to look into that. And meanwhile, I was kind of just doing this on the train to university on my iPad. And then, I looked into getting them printed, and then I just took the leap. I didn't particularly put in like loads of thought. I kind of just went with the flow of it, because it felt right, and I felt like that's what I needed to do, and people have seemed to really like them so far. So
yeah, so it's really exciting for me to see young people developing their talents and gifts. And we have a number of young people in New Life Church that are sort of embryonic entrepreneurs, got small little businesses, and it's just such a joy. And for me, the kingdom is not just what we do in church. It's holistic. It's right across everything we do. And Becksy, I know that I've benefited from some of the things that you have designed. I've given little cards away to people with your little verses, and it's been well received. And we want to encourage our young people to be all that God wants them to be. And it starts with a step. No one's the finished article, but we just want to encourage people to grow in God. And I'm sure that's what most Christians want to do. They want to see fired up young people, not just excelling in the church place, but also in the business world, where they can make a difference and become world changers individually and then also corporately. So Becksy, it's been really great having you with us today. Thank you for your time. But remember, guys, you're the head, not the tail, and God is going to do something awesome for you today.
How you left the 99 to find us, to find us.